Hello, everyone. Good evening, Ruth.
Good evening. How's it going?
Oh, great. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Bishop's interview. We have a awesome night planned, and we hope that everyone has as much fun as I think I'm going to have. I'm checking the chat right now, saying hello to people as I see the numbers just start to jump up.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so Ruth, how's your day been?
Good. I just got home from leg day from the gym and my legs are shaking, so I'm glad I'm sitting down.
Nice. I see that my wife is with us today, so I'll
Hey.
highlight her comment. That'll keep me out of the doghouse, and I see some other friends. So, all right. Well, Ruth, we're gonna have to see them leg flexes later on if you've been working them out. That sounds fun. So we have an awesome guest tonight. I'm about to bring him, not only him, but his wife in. And why don't, to Ruth, this was originally kind of your contact. Why don't you, before we bring them in, just kind of mention how you came across this content or come to know Mr. Rob?
Yeah, again, back to my TikTok days. That's where I did a good portion of my early deconstruction. And it was that community that really helped me. And Rob was one of them. And I can't remember the name of his TikTok right now.
Okay. Well,
He'll have to tell us.
we'll let him tell. But I will share this little screen. So I see. Is it?
Yep,
Well, I
President, please help me.
Okay. I was gonna say I'm so old that I just haven't got TikTok figured out. I'm old, Ruth.
I'm older than you. I don't know what your excuse is. Not a good one.
I'll tell you what, I know everyone is wishing that Nathan and Ruth would just get on with it and bring in the stars of the show. I will let you know that there's one telltale sign that I'm really feeling good tonight. And you see my hair is parted this way. When it goes this way, that means I'm really feeling it. If it goes this way, I'm more just kind of bland and just business. But this is really means I'm up for a good time tonight.
Well, if we're talking hair, I chopped mine off. So.
Oh, wow. It looks great.
I got no
way
more.
Better than mine. Okay, well, Deborah says, I'm 61. You're not old. So, all right. Well, Deborah, you also look great. So, Janine says, I'm 73. Oh, wow. Okay. I'm older than both of you, Sue says. So, all right. But let's go ahead and bring in the stars of the show. Let me welcome Mr. Rob Tobler and your
aloha.
beautiful, yes, aloha, your beautiful wife, Frances. Is that right?
Yes. Thank you for bringing me in at the last minute.
Well, awesome. I've had quite a few comments saying, "Oh my gosh, Rob is awesome."
That's right.
He's a great guest. He's a great love his channel, love his stuff. So, anyways, Rob, will you and Frances take just a second to just briefly kind of introduce yourself? Let everyone know where you live right now, as much as you want to. You don't have to give us your exact address. And just kind of just generally a little bit about you, if you don't mind.
Yeah, Rob and Frances, we live here on the island of Kauai, Hawaii. Please don't hate us. You can come and visit. I'll show you around.
We mean it.
Yeah, seriously. We're kind of lonely out here. We need some more friends. But
Speak for yourself.
I'm buying a ticket as you speak.
Ruth will definitely take you up on that.
Yes. We were like in our early 50s. We were in the church essentially our whole life and really only been out for the last 4 years. And it has been a horrific, painful, and beautiful, healing, joyful journey. And I'm honored that you would bring me on to tell my story. Thank you.
Awesome. So we recently did a episode with what was her name, Ruth? With the
Samantha.
Well, yeah, I was going to mention that, but also the Hawaiian
Ipolani.
Yeah, Ipolani.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know much about the
Iosepa?
There you go, the Iosepa stuff, and it was very interesting.
No.
Long story short, there's a Hawaiian community in Utah that. Anyways, I thought with you living in Hawaii, you might know about that. It was very interesting. It was the last thing Ruth and I did. So,
Okay.
all right. So, yes, Ruth reminded me that we recently had on Samantha. Now she's also on TikTok, and I was comparing your guys' content, and I see a lot of similarities in some ways. Basically, a comparable audience. Have you come across her stuff?
Oh yes, I've followed and loved Samantha's stuff. When Ruth came on, I was so impressed with these two women for their level of like vulnerability and genuineness. And if you look at my videos, you can see a guy who carefully is editing. Like, let's retake that. I didn't look good in that one, so I want to be like them someday. Really.
I vouch
Awesome.
for that.
Yes. Well, we have a lot of people saying, yes, that was such an amazing episode. And we are in for the same treat tonight. I'm just going to let everyone know. So let's see. I have not dove into TikTok yet, and we're going to get to that a little bit later. I lied. I opened an account.
Okay.
I posted one video, and I'm like, I don't know about this. And maybe I need to dive back into it, but I will say this. Your content, and I know we're going to get into your content a little bit later, but it's so creative. I just love it. And I noticed that you are in the video production business as well. Is that right, Rob?
Well, yes, you and I have that in common. Frances is a wedding photographer, and she roped me into doing wedding video films. And so I made, I don't know, 50 weddings or so. But I don't do it anymore, but I really love that experience.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I also was brought into it from my sister who was a wedding photographer, and now she's getting back into it. Awesome, talented person. And so I started about 14 years ago, and that's still my full-time weekend job. So
wow, nice. I'll have to check out your work. I haven't seen any of it.
Yeah, so it's milestonepictures.co. So
okay,
you can check it out. But I saw your stuff, and I'm like, dang, this guy is talented. So.
Oh, thank you. Well, maybe next time I get married, you could give me a discount if I hire you to do the.
You're like this.
Doesn't get any better than this.
That's right.
I'm going to agree with Frances on that one. For sure. But it's funny you say that because actually I have done a few, we'll just call them repeat clients, wedding.
Oh, okay.
Wow. Ouch.
Yeah, it's been interesting. When you've done it for 14 years, it happens.
Wow.
Yeah, I found myself, filming weddings and thinking, statistically, half of these aren't going to work. What do you think? This one, you think it's going to work or not? Ouch. But I loved the experience of meeting someone, and it felt like the art of very quickly getting to know that person so that you could tell their story authentically and beautifully and intimately. And and that was a fun challenge. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I tell you what, we would love to hear Rob and Frances, if you'll just walk us through. We won't go maybe quite as deep as John Dylan likes to go, but we would love to understand how your youth and how Mormonism. You said you both have pretty much had been within the church for much of your life. We'd love to just understand a little bit about that, and then we're going to work our way towards your TikTok. But we'll take several minutes and just understand a little bit more about you guys and that story. Can you start as early as you'd like and just kind of give us a good picture of how that played out for you?
Yeah, my ancestors were Mormon pioneers that came across with the handcart pioneers, later became polygamous. Their stories have been told in General Conference. I was born in California, grew up in Sandy, Utah, and then at the at the end of middle school, my dad pulled a Lehigh on us. He had a vision, and we left the land of our inheritance, and we moved to Nebraska, where I went to high school. In Utah, my faithfulness didn't matter too much, but in Nebraska, I really had to decide to either, be known as a peculiar Latter-day Saint or go with the flow of the world. And I chose the church. I took it very seriously. I was, seminary class president, quorum presidents, but more than anything, I just wanted a testimony of the Book of Mormon. And I read that book probably a dozen times before my mission, and I could not get Moroni's promise to work. And it broke my heart. But I still went on a mission because I had a testimony of one thing: fasting. I knew that it was somehow powerful, and then it worked. I figured the rest would come later. And so
are you saying that you got Holy Ghosted?
That's a new one.
Yes, yes, I did.
So I did too.
Oh,
I did too. I spent my first night in the MTC. I didn't know that my companion knew what I was doing, but I prayed for hours, literally hours, because I had heard everyone else had this one experience, and I didn't. I had a lifetime of church, activity, and I was just like, I can't go on this mission. And I prayed and prayed, and recently my companion reached out to me and said, dude, I knew you was up that night. I was like, man, this guy's spiritual. But I was doing like you. I was wanting that, and I finally fell asleep and devastated.
Well, Nathan, also like you, I served a mission in Argentina.
I saw that, Rob. What part were you in?
I was in Mendoza, the true mission. But the mission for me was extremely difficult. I had 3 mission presidents who all received revelation, inspiration straight from God, and they all contradicted each other in the way we did the Lord's work. And I was sweating bullets for 2 years. My mission president was from Chile. His name was President Verdugo, and in Spanish that means executioner. And he would threaten that he had petitioned the First Presidency to allow him to send missionaries home if they didn't baptize in 3 months.
Oh my!
We weren't allowed to teach people over 30 days. We weren't allowed to read Jesus the Christ, Marvelous Work and Wonder. We could only preach my gospel. I really struggled. It was very hard.
I watched a TikTok where you said that he set a goal for 250 and you only got 225, and he was not having it.
And so we traveled 5 hours on buses to get to this conference. The APs announced that we had not met our goal, but we had baptized 225 people. I turned to my companion. I said, hey, I think that's a new mission record, isn't it? And then the mission president stood up and he said, you owe the Lord 25 souls. This conference is over. Go to work.
Oh my God.
And we left with our tails between our legs. And it was really tough for me. Now, so I disagreed with a lot of things my mission president said. But one of the things that he said, because we started having problems with missionaries getting girlfriends. And he said, look, I'm not being racist, but Latinos with Latinos and Americans with Americans. And I said, he's right about that. But my faithful companions who never murmured about anything, they said, how can he say that? If I find the right girl, I'm coming back for her. And I said, no, brother, he's right about that. Well, that made it very awkward when I went back to BYU and met this lovely Latina and got an invitation to a mission reunion. I thought, well, I can't go to that, not with you.
Fantastic.
Did you really not go?
Yeah.
No, I didn't go. No.
So where are you from, Francis?
I'm from Venezuela.
Okay.
And I was born there and then came to the United States when I was 9, met the missionaries when I was 12, got baptized at 13. I grew up Catholic and then went to high school in California. I grew up in California and then went to BYU, met Rob, which I found very annoying. I did not like
this is being recorded,
Yeah, this is a true story.
In the bishop's office, we speak only truth, Rob. I'm sorry.
And this is confidential, right, Bishop?
Confidential,
No one will
right?
know. No one will know.
No, I'm telling you the truth. I always think about that because it's like he pursued me, and I'm so grateful that he fell in love with me first, and that he found me, and that he pursued me, and that eventually it worked out, right? I mean, it just means the world to me that we're together. And then after that, it was just BYU, Air Force, kids,
Yep.
moving from one place to the next, and yeah,
Always staying strong in the church.
always. I think
Yeah.
until 4 or 5 years ago. Now I'll get to my story when he starts talking about his deconstruction part of it. But yeah, we were
So-
pretty strong.
After the Air Force, we moved to Washington State, and I discovered the Mormon radio channel, which is where they had podcasts like History of the Hymns, Faith in Every Footstep, and I loved it. I listened to everything I could. And then I wanted more LDS content. And so I started listening to, Sunstone and things like that, right? At that time in Washington, something really significant happened. Three significant things. One is they legalized marijuana, and our kids started getting in trouble, big trouble. Second, Francis bought a trampoline from a gentleman on Craigslist, and he started to send her this anti-Mormon literature. I was the ward mission leader at the time, and I said, well, she's not interested, but if you want to talk about the faith, I'd be happy to. And so for the next 3 years, this gentleman and we went back and forth writing emails, and I learned how to become an apologist. I also learned how to win arguments based on, logical fallacies and scriptures taken out of context, and, hoping that he wouldn't find that certain verse or whatever, The third significant thing that happened in Washington was that the church began advertising they needed extras to be in their Bible video vignettes. And would you tell them about your experience with that?
Sure. I was in 13 videos of the Bible, New Testament Bible videos. And then I think you could see me in 8 of them. So if you pay attention, you can
I'm
find
going
me.
tonight, and I'm looking for you, Francis.
The video called "Go and Sin No More" with a woman
for
caught in adultery.
sure.
She's the one holding a rock. You'll see her in the background.
And then, no. But those years, that was like, what, 12, 13 years ago?
Yeah.
I had a moment in between recordings, filming, where the Jesus actor came into the tent, and we would have devotionals every morning at like 6 in the morning. You'd show up at 4:30 and get your costume on, and by 6:30 we had devotionals and prayer. And Jesus actor walked into the room, and I remember just feeling this awkward, inadequate, unworthy, not enoughness feeling of like, if this was Jesus right now and this is how I would feel, this is terrible. This is not how I'm, right? And so I went through the whole couple of weeks of filming, and then I was determined to go home and study the life of Christ. Like, I just dove into it completely, studying who he was and what he did and understanding his teachings. And, we're supposed to become Christ-like. So I literally, I would say to my kids, become the kind of person you'd want, or I want to become the kind of person I want my children to be. And Jesus was that example of, this is it. This is the ultimate example of who to be. And so I dove on about 10-year journey, maybe 9-10 years.
Were you reading books only from Deseret Books?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that was what I was told. Yeah.
Same.
And I would find some satisfaction with it. And there were times that I'd be like, oh, but the church doesn't teach that about Jesus, or they're not acting or behaving in such a way that really emulates what Jesus is teaching, kind of thing. But, you just kind of chuck it to the side. Don't question. Don't be curious. Don't just move along. And then who knows? I probably won't get my answers at this time in my life, I'll get it later. So that was most of my mentality a lot of the
The
time.
book, Whom Say You That I Am by Joseph and Judith McConkie, which is a historical Jesus book, that was
it.
that planted a seed for us.
Mhm.
But our kids continued to get into real trouble. And so we threw ourselves into therapy to figure out how to save these kids from self-destruction. And at one point,
LDS therapy.
well, it wasn't LDS
She
Family
was
Services, but the therapist was like an inactive psychiatrist member.
Hmm.
And at one point, I remember after my wife had done this deep dive into understanding Jesus so that she would never feel inadequate in his presence again, the therapist says, you know, Francis, I don't think you understand Jesus's atonement. Oh, and you could not have said a more hurtful thing
For me.
to a woman who was striving harder than anyone I knew to come to know him and all that, right?
What was the word she used? I didn't internalize it.
Yeah.
Mm.
So fast forward, our kids are in so much danger. They've been in rehabs and various things. And so we decide that maybe a geographical change of location would help them. And so we prayed about it, and we up and moved to Hawaii. No job, no friends. We'd never even been here before. We just took a leap of faith and did it. It was very scary, but
The best decision we've ever made.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
it was great. So you know, I am having callings like stake executive secretary. I'm the seminary teacher,
I'm in the presidencies for all of it, Young Women
and
Society.
and I am deconstructing about 4 hours a day of books and podcasts. I mean, we would go to sleep, and then I would pull out the iPhone and put the ear pods in and listen to books. And then Frances made a horrible mistake. She purchased for me the Joseph Smith Papers books. And oh boy, yeah. So COVID comes and goes, and this is now my 16th year of deconstruction, and I am so alone, and I can't tell anybody about what I know. I don't want to hurt anybody's faith. And Frances comes to me and she says, Rob, I don't think I want to go back to church. What? That's like, no way, you know. And I said, what's your deal? She says,
the Jesus that I have been studying is not the Jesus that's being taught in this church. And same with the God that I have come to know. It's not the God that was being taught, you know, or shown to us, you know.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to make sure I'm understanding. So it sounds like with Frances, it really started with from this movie situation, just really, really wanting to make sure that you were in tune with the true Jesus and his teachings, is what I'm hearing. Is that the same thing that sort of started with you, Rob, or was it something different?
No, oh no. I'm reading William Clayton's journals. I'm literally reading every document in the Joseph Smith Papers, and I'm 100% sure the church is not what it claims to be. You know, I can see Joseph Smith intentionally being deceptive and
you're
lying.
saying that this was 16 years ago?
Well, I mean, the 16-year process of just going through everything, because my family was in such trouble that I did not dare jump out of the good ship Zion until I found a better ship.
Okay.
And so I just kept digging. I'm like, there's got to be an answer in here somewhere, you know. And so when she told me she didn't want to go back to church, I was like shocked. I said, well, honey, because we had not been honest with each other, you know. And I said, honey,
you're
look,
scared to even say anything.
I mean, I was afraid if she knew how I felt, she might go to the bishop, and the bishop might advise her, well, leave him, get divorced, you know. So I said to her, well, honey, you know, look, everybody's got issues with the church. I'm sure you can work this out. She says, do you have issues with the church? I said, well, yeah, but I don't want to say. She says, come on, just give me something. And well, Book of Abraham. And she's like, that's not true. I said, yeah, it's true. She says, give me something else. I said, well, polyandry. You mean polygamy? No, polyandry. It's different.
What is polyandry?
And I explained it to her. She said, "That's not true." I said, "Yeah, it is. It's right here in the Joe Smith papers that you gave me, you know." And this
You
woman
gave
of
me.
You gave me.
I try to shift blame still, right?
I saved your life. What are you talking about?
So,
That's right.
so this woman of integrity, within a week, she's like, "That's it. I'm done. I'm resigning."
Taking my name out.
Wow.
All the kids did, and now I'm the only one still left in. And you know, we would go to therapy, or we would go together, and then we would go alone. And week after week, the therapist would say to me, she would say, "Rob, what do you want to talk about this week? Do you want to talk about your child who is on the streets and in real danger? Or do you want to talk about your marriage and some of the challenges there?" And I would tell her, I would say, "No, I have got to talk about this faith transition. This is killing me. This is like an existential crisis." And this poor woman listened to me. She knows more about Mormonism than most people I know now. But anyway, she says to me, she says, "You know, it sounds like you need to find your own voice. You've let these old patriarchal men decide your ethics and your morals, and maybe you need to find your own voice." Now, what I think she meant was like journaling or something, right? But I thought, hey, you know what? I've heard of this thing called TikTok. Maybe I could open up an anonymous channel and just kind of get this off my chest. And I didn't want to harm the faith of my family or anybody. And so it just became a place for me to have the conversations that I wanted to have. Like I had questions that, you know, for President Nelson, and that's why I named the channel President, please help me. This is my Hail Mary pass. Is anyone out there that could help me, you know? And of course, believe it or not, he did not reply. He still hasn't.
Okay, so that is interesting. So I also was in a extra for a movie. We were in The Work and the Glory. Did you see that?
Yes.
So my wife and my daughter were in the snow scene, walking through the snow.
Cool.
They're in the very front of the line. Me and my brother are building the temple, tossing each other rocks. And Joseph's son, I think it's Joseph, when the mob comes in and he ends up catching a cold and dying, and the baby that's in that scene is my brother's baby. So all of us were in that, and I had a similar experience as you, Francis. Yeah. Not near as just, I guess, earth shattering, but when the Joseph Smith character of that, I loved him. I was a Joseph Smith fanatic. Like that was what kept me going. And have you ever heard, Rob, of the Truman G. Madsen lectures that he gave on Joseph?
I love those. Yeah.
I had those things basically memorized, still do.
Nice.
And I would give steak firesides, like steak sponsored firesides, basing the whole fireside off of Truman G. Madsen. Like that was my guy. Anyways, long story short, so I love the Joseph Smith character, and as soon as they would go cut, this guy would be like cussing and making jokes, you know, and just out of character.
Not too far from the truth.
And I was like, what is he doing? He's supposed to be, you know, it was kind of a mind freak for me. But
that's awesome.
Anyways, so I was going to mention that. Oh, and then therapy. So my wife did like you, Francis. She's like, I'm out. Took her name off, all that. My kids, same thing. My name's still on. And I've never been to any therapy. Matter of fact, Ruth and Rob and Francis, this is my therapy session tonight.
That's awesome.
Well, glad to be here for you.
Yeah.
So go ahead. Oh, you're muted, Ruth, I think.
Rob, you're still on the records?
I am. Yes.
So am I. So is Nathan.
Oh.
Yeah, I identify as a heartbroken, devastated Mormon because I No,
Yeah.
I didn't want it to be true. I needed it to be true.
Same.
And I tried every way I could to make it work. It broke my heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love putting it that way. We thought it was true. We wanted it to be true. You know,
And it would be so much easier if it was.
Yeah.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yes.
This question comes up quite a bit for me. You know, I would say for me, the reason why my name is still on the records is I wanted to speak out as a member. I've given my life, my time, my money, my heart. I've given everything, and I'm only speaking truthful things, you know? And so as long as I'm speaking truthful things, I wanted to do it as a member, you know? And that's why my name's on. I don't know how you would respond to that, Rob.
Rob's in it for the money.
No, well, I got a lot of reasons. Number one, I don't think they actually remove your name. I think they just, block it out. Because if you ever came back and you were a criminal,
They have it all.
they know that. They're going to keep track of that. But I don't feel like I need to submit to them and say, please take my name off. Like, I don't owe that to them. And I do feel defrauded out of my tithing. And so maybe being a member puts me in a better position on that. I don't know. But
in a lawsuit.
let's talk TikTok.
Okay, so I was going to say, Ruth, was there any questions that you had before we get into TikTok stuff, Ruth? Or
Nope,
okay.
we're good.
All right, so you start your TikTok. Has it had the same name the whole time?
Well, no, it started out as President Please Help Me, and I never shared my name. And then finally people started finding me, and so I just changed it to Rob T. And I pray that my siblings and parents haven't found it. When they do, it'll be very difficult for them. But
well, let me ask you, I see that you have your last name listed under your picture. So do you happen to have any family in East Tennessee?
not that I know of, but if they're a Tobler, it's probably a relation.
Yeah. Our new stake president has the same last name as you.
Oh my goodness. Well, he must be a very good man. That's for sure.
You know what I know of him? He actually really is. And the last one we had was phenomenal. Like literally the best guy.
Yeah.
And I could go into my whole story of why I ended up on Mormon Stories and all this, but was because I was going in to talk to my stake president, the previous one,
Right.
because he wanted to talk about my Facebook posts. And I left after an hour and a half or so, and a lot of people have heard this story, but long story short, when we left, he says, Brother Hinckley, I'm going to tell you something. In my opinion, you are in a better place now than you were before as a true believing member. So as far as I'm concerned, carry on.
That's wonderful.
That's what he told me.
Awesome.
Wow.
Okay,
Fantastic.
so you start a TikTok. Did it take off right away, or in your opinion, has it taken off? Because I see lots of views and lots of followers and everything. Is that a pretty healthy channel?
Yeah, I mean, I took a hiatus right before I got to the 10,000 mark, much to her disappointment, because I guess that's when you start to get monetized, and I'd invested a heck of a lot of time in that. But my first few videos, I didn't want to identify as an Exmo nor as a TBM. I just wanted to be a guy in the middle with questions and wanted to talk about the issues. And so actually, I feel like both sides kind of viewed and contributed. And so the channel started to go. But as I made more and more videos, I really couldn't hide how I felt. And
you were progressing.
And I was progressing through in my
as you-
deconstruction as I kept learning more and more devastating information. And the fact that, my bishop, he hadn't even read the gospel topic essays. My stake president had no answers. My parents, they didn't even know what the Joseph Smith Papers Project was. I mean, I turned to family and friends. they've never bothered to read Joseph Smith's original journal. How do you not read the journal of the founder of your I don't get it. But anyway, so the TikTok videos were conversations that I wanted to have with Joseph Smith, with my dad, with my brother-in-law, with Brigham Young, with Jesus. And, I was so devastated at that time. I struggled to even brush my teeth, shower, cut my hair, shave. And that's when my hair got real.
Francis is saying this is true.
She deserves an award for sticking with me. But that's when my hair got long. And one day I looked in the mirror and I said, I think I could pull off a Jesus character. And so I started interviewing Jesus and talking about things. And I don't know, my style was like, I tried to be funny and I tried to be interesting, but I really wanted to pack a punch of like, please consider this. Or, have you thought about this or that? And, I met a lot of really wonderful people like Ruth through TikTok. Francis and I have had dozens of FaceTime calls with people in faith transition. And the craziest thing is, as I listen to their story and I offer suggestions, more than half the time I end up saying, I think for you in your situation, it might be best to stay in the church. And here's how you could nuance it and make it work. And I get off the phone and I say, what did I just do? Like, am I the greatest missionary for the church or what?
I have had some people fairly recently contact me. Yeah. And I was surprised that I did not tell them. I had one guy say, hey, I just met with the missionaries tonight and I come across your, whatever, Facebook page. And I didn't say turn and run. I did say, be very, make sure that you're asking questions and you understand. There's some things you might want to explore, but yeah, I didn't say turn and run. Maybe I should have, but I didn't.
Yeah.
So I understand that part.
Hey, Rob, I was going to say your TikToks, you said, you were making them. And I wanted to add, although they were funny and entertaining, they were so thought provoking. And they were thoughts that I didn't know I needed to have. They were thoughts that I was having, but didn't know how to verbalize. I'm going to cry, and I haven't cried on this before.
That's awesome.
Because it was hard.
Yeah.
Ooh, I haven't cried the whole time we've been doing this. It was hard to go through all of that and finding out and leaving something that I thought was so true and pertinent to my life and the next life. And so having someone who, although you were keeping it light at times, who showed me that I wasn't alone. And that's why we're doing what we do. Because for me to think that there's someone else out there who is feels alone or confused or sad by all of this, like they've lost their community, like we lost our community. And you were able to help me feel like I wasn't alone. Even though I didn't know you, I didn't know where you lived, I didn't know anything about you. I felt that connection through your TikToks.
Oh, thank you. Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you, Ruth.
Thanks for being vulnerable, Ruth. And I've been there.
Nicer about it too.
I've so been there, not with TikTok, but with so many things that I find validating and to let me know I'm not alone. And I've had people tell me, thank you for speaking out. I feel like, I didn't know where to turn. So yes. Can
I just say that like being in therapy and experiencing for the first time ever, unconditional regard, where your story can be heard in safety, the shame, the fear, the anxiety just drops down. And that's what the TikTok community has been. Or can be. But it does take a lot of time and work. And, I always wanted to get her to help me with some of these videos. She sometimes would hold the camera for me, but it was hard because a lot of times she was laughing. And I'm like, honey, you can't be laughing. I know I'm dressed up like Dora the Explorer and I'm dancing in the living room, but you can't be laughing. It's
Come on,
gonna
take me seriously.
Or I'm the one putting the banana up in his hair and making sure it stays. You know, I can't believe
I thought I was watching quite a few before, we met you here tonight, and I thought I saw an arm. I'm like, that's a female's arm.
Yeah. Was that the one about the second anointing? Yeah. Anyway, ask
I
your
tell
question.
you what, here's what I'd like to do. I would like for Ruth to pick a TikTok, and we'll pull it up here to show.
Oh no.
I would like for Rob and Francis, you guys pick one, and I'll take one from the chat. Someone that and Rob, I was wanting to ask you. I wanted to show like one of the most popular ones. And then I also wanted to show one of the ones that you were super proud about that maybe didn't get a lot of attention or whatever.
A lot of those.
And so we'll spend just a couple minutes. Most of your videos are relatively short, I think. So we will. If anyone has one, let me pull up the page real quick. Share screen. So this is the TikTok page, and if someone wants to just
Yeah, you're gonna have to scroll down.
yeah, I'll scroll for a second here.
So stupid.
Francis is like, no, don't show that one. That one's stupid.
Don't embarrass yourself any more than you already have.
I'll tell you, one of the ones I was dying laughing at, and was the Jeopardy thing. I thought that was so funny.
That was pretty good.
But I'm just going to scroll for a second. Do you have any idea how many you have done, Rob?
There's just a little over 200, and
That's
I don't
a
know
lot
if
of work.
that's shame or bragging. I don't know. What am I?
No.
Oh, let's watch Dora since Tia mentioned Dora.
Oh, you
All
want
right, yeah. Let's just.
to see Dora? I have not seen that one yet. I didn't get a
Okay.
chance to go through
hairdo,
all.
Hey, that hairdo took a lot of bobby pins.
Okay, I didn't have a chance to go through all 200. So Rob, this will be my first time. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. So y'all let me know if for some reason the audio's not playing, and I'll start it here.
It's good.
My church likes to make bold claims and testify they're true. Science later proves them wrong. Now what will they do? Backtrack, 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 backtrack. God doesn't want the kids of gays baptized or blessed. People resign, people get hurt. This is really messed. Backtrack, 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 backtrack.
Oh no! This is horrible!
Okay, Dora, my video may have been terrible, but the church retreating on its truth claims, critics being validated, and the church becoming more honest, maybe that's not so terrible.
Okay.
Oh.
All right. All right.
Oh.
All right. 10 out. Okay. So on a scale from 1 to 10, that's a 10. Yeah. That is
Oh,
a 10.
thank you, sir. Thank you.
So
Oh, my
Mike,
goodness.
Mike says, Rob, please transfer these to Instagram before YouTube dies.
The Instagram. Yeah.
Okay. So Cultural Hall. Do you know Cultural Hall, Rob?
Yes. Yes. Love the guy.
He is my buddy, and I'm actually going on with him tonight when we get done. I haven't told my wife that yet, but sorry, honey. I'll be late. I'll be late to bed.
That's awesome.
But he says, "Do the Jesus visits me visits."
Yeah, it
Meso-
should be at the
America?
very top.
All right, is that's one of the most popular ones?
Yeah, that
isn't
got
it?
some views. It's near the very top there, the third one there.
This one.
Oh
Yeah.
my
Okay.
gosh.
All right.
The
so
banana
is that,
here.
Is that okay?
Yeah, go
to
for
do,
it.
Rob?
Go for it. Yeah, do
Okay.
it.
Banana.
And whosoever shall compel.
Sorry, I was trying to get rid of this stupid thing.
Don't report it.
No worries. No worries. Don't report
Okay.
it.
Sorry. All right, let me keep going.
Told thee to go a mile, go with him twain.
Excuse me, what's a mile? We don't have those.
Ye shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles?
Question, what are figs? Oh, this guy again.
I am Jesus Christ. I said I have other sheep, which are not of this fold. Ye are my sheep.
What's a sheep? We don't have those either. Not again. And Jesus, what did you say your last name was? Sorry, we don't speak Greek.
And whosoever shall say to his brother, Raka, shall be in danger of.
What's Raka? Can somebody get that guy out of here?
I wish I could have been there, because I've got lots of questions.
I tell you, this stuff is bananas.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
How long
that
does
was-
it take you to make something like that?
Way too long, because the TikTok app will crash. It won't save your stuff.
Yes.
Phone
And then
gets
you
hot.
make the perfect video, you upload it, and it's like, oh no, that song is copyrighted. You can't use that. Oh, brother. So it takes forever. Way too long. Way too long.
And
Yeah.
he has to go through my closet.
Yeah, and then you have to go through the wife's closet and get the wardrobe and the hair, and it takes time.
All right, so I love the substance of that one though, because it does not. I wrote a little Facebook post on this, and it's like it does not make sense for them to be having, what was it? They changed C9, the money.
Yeah.
The money was changed from the New Testament to because
From
Joseph
farthing
was like,
to C9,
from farthing to C9. That was it. So they changed that, but then they didn't change mile. It's like, well, what's a mile? What was the other thing? What's a sheep?
Figs, grapes,
What's a fig?
sheep, raka. What does raka mean?
Well, it makes no sense. I feel so friggin' embarrassed that I went for 44 years without being like,
What?
what's this? What's that? It's like, it's amazing to me.
Yeah, I feel embarrassed for how freaking arrogant I was about, hey, obviously this is so true. Why can't you people join this church? And it was actually a moment when my son, who was kind of he was making some interesting choices in his life. We were on a phone call. He says, Dad, your religion's a pile of shit. And I said, oh, well, thank you for your opinion. And I got off the phone call and I thought to myself, I'm going to prove him wrong. And I really doubled down and the more I learned, the worse it got. And I finally had to acknowledge that I had learned something from my own children.
All right, so tell us either one of the ones that got a lot of views, or maybe something that you really were proud of that maybe didn't get as much traction yet as you wanted.
Well, we don't have to watch it, but I've always 3 videos that were meaningful to me. One is where I interviewed Joseph Smith about what he thinks about the newest version of the quad, and he's really quite angry. And I'm like, what's wrong? He says, geez, you go to all this trouble to build a temple, have a vision, and then they only put half the vision in the book. And I said, what are you talking about? He says, DNC 137. I tried to put on my East Coast Joseph Smith accent, but and I said, he says, they only put half my vision in the book. And then I said, oh, hey, Joe, they're doing you a favor. The second half of your vision is full of false prophecies that failed, so don't let it go, buddy. Just let it go. That didn't get much traction, but I had fun with that. Another one was where I talked about baptisms for the dead and how it's a beautiful experience. You're doing this benevolent act for someone
I
else.
thought it was awesome.
Welcome, Dan. I wanted to welcome Dan to our chat. Dan Vogel.
I salute you, Dan.
Go ahead, Rob.
No, but I made a video where I talk about baptisms for the dead and how, a lot of people believe that the spirits of those who are being baptized, they're actually there. But it's beautiful and sacred, but it's awkward because you got the wet white clothing, and how do you pronounce these names?
Yeah.
And then I had to pick someone in the font baptizing for and behalf.
I saw this one. Yes. Should we show it?
Yes.
Sure.
That's
All
one
right.
of my favorites. I
All
laughed
right.
hard on that one.
Help me find it.
Okay,
I didn't watch
it's-
this one.
Okay.
Hold on. I've got to share this.
on
Present,
the-
share, Rob. All right.
If you'll scroll down, I'll help you find it.
Okay.
Okay, getting close. Okay,
Right
stop.
there.
Right next to the candles. Right next to the candles.
Oh, this one. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Touch it.
Participating in
That one.
baptisms for the dead is special and a little awkward, but it's special because you're performing a saving ordinance for someone who has waited a very long time. Also, there's the idea that they may have been granted permission to be present to witness this. Of course, it's awkward a little bit because the wet white clothing, and sometimes those names are really difficult to pronounce and you don't want to say it wrong. I'll never forget the time that Brother Ramirez, having been commissioned of Jesus Christ, I baptize you for and in behalf of Homo erectus Neanderthalis Huiste, in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Ghost. Amen. Yeah, that was memorable. Participating in baptism.
So what's the story? Is the Homo erectus, all that stuff? Is that something you made up, or what?
Yeah.
I just think it's funny that, baptisms for the dead is such a mess. We're telling Jews that we're not doing it, but we are doing it. People are repeatedly being baptized. What about all the other hominids who lived on this earth? Do we not care about Lucy and,
Because everybody needs to be baptized. So
Yeah, come on. Let's show the love.
Seriously. no
Yeah,
kidding.
I just said a couple nights ago I did a live, but I was alone, which is a scary thing. and I was talking about to all you non-members out there, you look up your great-great-grandpa. He's probably Mormon by now. We have took his name in the temple. We've baptized him. We've had hands laid on and said, I confirm you're a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So
Congratulations.
as far as the Mormons are concerned. Okay, so we took one from Rob and we took one from we took one from Ruth, right?
Yep.
Okay, and we took one from Cultural Hall. So is there any others while we're in the TikTok phase that we think we probably should go ahead and either talk about or watch?
Hey, I'm
Well-
going to take credit for one, though.
Okay, let's hear it.
The toilet paper one.
Oh yeah, I did a series. Where a bishop called me to a calling, and
I came up with that color.
I am the word trusted person to escort trans people to the bathroom.
Oh my gosh!
And
This
and
has
the
to be
bishop.
pretty recent then, huh?
Yes, recently. I mean, I did. It's like a 3 or
Latest.
4 part series. And then the bishop says, "Well, thank you for accepting the calling. You'll need this." And I'm thinking he's going to hand me a manual, but he hands me something else, and I hold up a roll of toilet paper and I say, "I will magnify this calling."
This one says part 3. So is it a 3-part thing?
No, that's the third video in the series, but we could watch that one. That is where an angel actually comes. Let's watch that just for the fun of it.
Okay.
We can now keep.
on your calling there,
Well, thank you.
keeping us safe from them,
No, they're not like that. Ocupado. Come back later. Fear not. Behold, I am an angel sent from the terrestrial kingdom with a message for this ward. But first I must use the bathroom. It's right here. Thank you. Do you need an escort? No, I'm fine. Well, because you're trans, right? Or non-binary or something, right? Where would you get such an idea? Well, because that's what our prophet taught us.
there will be changes in the bodies. The power of procreation will be removed. Men and women will, in these kingdoms, be neither man nor woman, merely immortal beings.
Brother Jones, you're doing a good job on your calling there.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous.
That is
Ridiculous.
amazing. And so I know Colts does a lot of this, the mouth moving stuff. I need to figure out how you guys do it because it is amazing. Oh my God.
I'll give you all the links, all the cheats. Yeah. Yeah.
So not only can you write funny stuff, you can film funny stuff, but he's a heck of an actor too, right?
I'm just a wannabe. Yeah. But you know, one video I did want to talk about.
Oh my gosh. Let me say thank you real quick to Lynn Fisher.
Whoa.
That's awesome. I appreciate that, Lynn. Go ahead, Rob. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I guess through all of this, I am still a lover of Jesus. I love him. And a video that means a lot to me was a video that I made in response to a TikToker who goes by the name of Brother Miller. And he's a true believing member. And he basically says, oh, I've gone through the Book of Mormon. There's no poison in there. There's no poison in the Book of Mormon. And so I responded, and he never acknowledged my video or anything, but I basically said, you know, I did find poison in the Book of Mormon. And then I talk about the narration in 3 Nephi chapters 7, 8, 9, 10, where Jesus goes on a unaliving spree, crushing, drowning, burning women and children. And I said, if this is not historical, this is an assault on the reputation of the Prince of Peace, and I don't appreciate that, you know. And I feel very passionately about that. You know, I love Jesus, and I'll go to bat for him. Yeah,
I love that. I feel like so. It was kind of one of those things that haven't got a lot of traction. I did a video where I held a candlelight vigil for everyone from 3 Nephi 9. And I just went through and I had a candle burning. I don't know, maybe this is sacrilegious. I don't know. But I had a little candle burning and I was just reading basically 3 Nephi 9. And I did bury whatever city in the, you know, and all of the inhabitants thereof. And I buried this city and all of the inhabitants thereof. And, you know, it's just like, how do we, and I'll be honest, we're being honest tonight. I will be honest. This type of shit has really taken a dagger to my testimony of even Jesus.
Yeah.
And it has, you know, it has.
Yeah.
Hey, Rob,
Yes.
will you share if you're comfortable, your ayahuasca story?
Okay.
That interested me.
Okay. Let's do this.
Yeah, he shares.
So, you know, I'm deconstructing, I'm finding my voice. And then I read the book, How to Change Your Mind by Michael Pollan. And I started learning about plant medicine. And I asked Francis, I said, I think this could really help me. Because I need to deal with this religious existential crisis stuff. So we researched and found a very reputable retreat in Costa Rica where they brought in Peruvian shamans who authentically shared their practice with us. And at this point, you know, I'd never had a cup of coffee. I'd never, you know, and here I am. I remember some of the other people in the group, they said, well, you've done mushrooms, right? I said, no. They said, well, this is like 1,000 mushrooms at once. And, you know, I went. So I went in there wanting to deal with some religious trauma. And I'm telling you, this sacred plant medicine, sometimes it knows you a little bit better than you know yourself. And so we're in this Maloka hut. We've partaken of this plant substance. And we're laying on the mat, and I know it's going to kick in, and I'm scared to death. I want to change my mind. I changed my mind. It's too late, you know. And pretty soon I start feeling some tinglies, and then next thing you know, I'm in a full-on vision trance. And I had chosen ayahuasca because people describe it as having a very feminine presence, and I've had really good success with female therapists, and I just thought it would be a good fit. And so this female that I can't see is with me. We're walking through these rolling hills, And we get to this fence line where there's a gate, and I am encouraged to go through the gate. And for the life of me, I cannot get this latch to open to get through the gate. And she says to me, "This is the gate of forgiveness. And until you learn this lesson, you will not progress any further." And it hit me. It hit me like a ton of lead. This should have been my intention the whole time. And so I spouted out a few, well, okay, I forgive my dad, I forgive my son, I forgive my, and the latch gets looser, but it's not opening. And she says, "You're going to have to go a little deeper on that." I said, okay. Drinking a psychedelic like that, it feels like you are just held in pure love. While gently they're going through the files of your mind, and they say, "Ooh, there's a little jam here. Do you feel safe to address this?" And you do feel safe. And anyway, so as I offered some more specific forgiveness, the gate latch opened and the gate swung open. And I had not bothered to look down at this narrow gate. Lying on the ground is Jesus. He's just lying there, and there's no way I can get through without walking on him. And I turned to the guide and I said, "Do you think he would mind if we," and she says, just ask him. And I looked down, and before I could even get the words out, he just said to me, he says, "That's why I came." And as I walked across his warm, soft, living body to the other side of forgiveness, I cried 1,000 tears. It was like 1,000,000 therapy sessions in one night. And that was beautiful, and I cherished that. And I was so grateful for that.
Wow.
Later, I found myself like in a jungle where I found a younger version of myself, and we literally kicked a ball around for an hour. And I kind of turned to the guide and I said, "So is this all we're going to do? Just hang out with this kid?" She said, "Yep, pretty much." And no sooner did she said that, I was back in my basement bed as a child, hearing contention and fighting, which was real. This is a real thing. And just being terrified. I learned that was when I began to bite the corners of my blanket and then chew my fingernails, which would lead to pornography or other badly coping strategies. And then she got like right in my face again, and she said, "Now teach this boy how to soothe himself." And all night long, I got to just practice breathing and reciting mantras with the younger version of myself, and it was so healing. But then I came home and never addressed the religious stuff. So a few years later, we went down to Peru and did it again, and I got what I want. I don't recommend psychedelics for everybody. It is illegal in the United States, so I'm not advocating for that. But it is not recreation. It is work, and you need to prepare for it by going to therapy, learning how to be open and honest.
Yeah.
Had I done it 10 years prior, it would have not. I'm sure it would have not been as effective.
At what point did you do that then of this whole journey? Was this
mid TikTok? She's out of the church. I'm still just like, where do I go? What do I do? And just
like a year in.
Yeah.
Year after getting out.
So this would be 2021-ish.
Yeah, we both did that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So after she left and you were still hanging out, were you active in church? Did you have a calling?
No, I work as an air traffic controller, and I work a lot of Sunday shifts. Mm-hmm. So it's like my word never noticed that I never came back.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's crazy that even after she left the church, we would host game night parties for the stake president, the bishop, and all of our ward friends, and they would come and no one would even ask.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
How are you doing? Why have we haven't seen you at church?
Yeah. Like, why aren't you coming to church?
I mean, we lost our friend group. We lost our sense of purpose, identity, some of our hopes for the future and eternity were, it's so difficult. And so I've really been conflicted about, is my TikTok, is it a good thing? Is it a good thing to help people like Ruth? Does it harm people? Because I don't want to harm people. I know how devastating this path is, but I do believe the truth will set us free. So I guess that's my justification.
Yeah.
Wow. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, thanks for sharing.
Some of what you said is hard for me. Oh, phone fell.
And we're done. End scene.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh
Too
man.
much love in this room, I guess.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. No, you're fine. I want to echo Mike here. Mike says, Rob, your voice is needed.
Yep.
Thank you, Mike.
And Ammon says, the loss is real. I'm sorry. Grateful for your TikToks and your work. So I was
Awesome.
going to say that a lot of what you shared is hard for me to understand when you're talking about, seeing or being with a previous version of yourself. I've heard a lot of people refer to that. It's just so kind of detached from my experiences, much like what you just described. I hadn't, had any coffee, tea, drugs, alcohol, for 44 years and still haven't. I did a video the other day. It was called Mormon Tries Coffee for the First Time,
Ooh, I missed that one.
I'll
How'd
be
it go?
back again real quick.
Okay, Ruth. So anyway, oh yeah, I didn't like coffee. I did a video about, is the word of wisdom wise? And I just kind of talked about,
Smart.
to me, I can take it or leave it. For my wife, who tends to be a lot more stressed out or nervous or anxious, I feel like, we can go out on the weekend and she can enjoy herself and, like going out dancing or something. We've never done that. It's just, it's not been.
We just did it.
Yeah, it's not been part of, because she was just too nervous. She can have a couple drinks and it's like, hey, we can enjoy ourselves. So I found great benefits, but I want to openly acknowledge that for many people it's very dangerous and can go south quick. But I think the stigma that has been put on it is kind of wrong. Like it's not that boogeyman for everyone. And for her, I kind of think it's great. I see her be a lot more like what I feel like I am naturally, which is just, I don't care, whatever. I'll get in front of a crowd and tell a joke or sing a song. I don't care. So anyways, I appreciate all that, what you shared. And I was just going to, last thing, say, I have a friend, a bishop friend who had a very similar experience to what you just described about with the with that treatment. What's it pronounced? Yeah, ayahuasca. And for him, he tells me that his whole life, like the things that mattered, just completely changed. And he was like, I could see the bullshit of the church. I could see, and it made, one treatment or whatever you call it. So that is very interesting.
Yeah. I think give it 20 years and you're going to see like psilocybin, which is in mushrooms. That's going to be a regular part of therapy for depression, anxiety, PTSD, addiction. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've talked about a little bit about your Mormon histories. We've talked about how you started your TikTok, and then at first you kind of wanted to fly under the radar a little bit, but after a short time, you just figured, you know what, everybody knows, and you have this dry, perfect sense of humor, and you've done over 200 of them. So now, why don't we transition just a little bit, because it's my understanding that you want to kind of change your focus on what your message is. And I'm assuming you're referring also to your TikToks, or maybe you're referring to something else. You want to kind of take us through, and I did see a video, I think on your TikTok, that kind of hits on this thread of rebuilding and re-centering, your life. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, we're getting a little bit of echo again, but I'll continue to speak.
On his end.
I realized that a faith crisis is a huge gift. It's bitter at first, it's painful at first, But when you realize that you've been in a fish bowl of spirituality and healing, floating in an ocean of spirituality and healing, it starts to get really exciting. And this part of our journey, I want to share with others in the next phase of my TikTok to show how to construct a spiritual, healed, healthy, happy life. And I'm not perfect, but it's been beautiful. And before I talk about what has worked for me, I'd like to give an example from my family. We have several children, and unfortunately, they have experienced being the victim of sexual assault. Now, what did we do? We rushed to the church so that they could get a blessing from their bishop, get some conference talks to read, get in the temple. Why? Because we wanted that child to have the healing balm of the atonement. Because an apostle had promised us that the atonement leaves no tracks, no traces. What it fixes, it is fixed. It just heals, and what it heals stays healed. And our experience was that it doesn't work as advertised. How many Latter-day Saints do you know who have been abused? They're porn addicts, and it didn't fix them. And in fact, to add insult to injury, what the church offered the injured child was not healing, but further harm by discussing what percentage of responsibility they held for the assault. And don't forget, it's still on the website, better dead clean than alive unclean. And that is just absolutely toxic. Now, contrast that with what we did later. EMDR therapy, and this stands for the eye movement.
Something rapid.
Yeah, EMDR therapy followed by MDA somatic therapy, which has a 72% success rate of curing PTSD on the first time. And so, I'm not grateful for the hurt experience, but I'm just so excited to go throughout the world and discover that there is healing tools, modalities all across this planet from good people who are offering these things, not just because they want some heavenly reward or they're trying to avoid some eternal punishment. They're doing it because it works, and they just want to have compassion for their fellow beings. So some of the things that we have done to talk about healing, and then I want to talk a little bit about spirituality and personal authority versus external authority. Francis, what has been healing for you in our reconstruction of our lives path?
For me, I think the spiritual thing was always the thing in my life. So I kind of was naturally still pursuing that and still in that. And it came natural to recognize a lot of other modalities as spirituality. I know that for us is meditation, mindfulness, breath work. Will just being a gypsy on something, and then you just take a big deep breath and you just take 3 breaths and it just calms you down. Or but for me, it's been Vipassana, the most recent experience that I had.
This lady did a 10-day silent meditation retreat.
100 hours.
100 hours
wow.
of sitting and facing the anxious monkey mind and making peace with.
Yeah.
Wow.
That to me was actually the frosting on the cupcake. My cupcake was being filled with Reiki work and, reading about transgenerational trauma and all the stuff that I personally have to work through, and church and religion and Christianity, and just kind of all that stuff. And where am I in all of it? Who am I in all of it? What do I believe in? Who do I believe in? And for me, Vipassana was the turning point as far as knowing who I am, as far as knowing what my purpose is and why I'm here, and tapping into parts of me that I know how to tap into when I need to, and I know how to go inward, and I know how Francis feels. But I also discovered how mean Frances can be in her head. And how much like my family around me talks a little bit more than I do. They're more busybodies than I am. And I dive into that every day, and I don't have a lot of time by myself. And to have 100 hours by myself, no cell phone, no paper, nothing. It was just, and we couldn't have eye contact. We couldn't talk to people. It was just me, myself, and I, and my thoughts. And I discovered a lot of stuff that I needed to work through and heal, and a lot of things that were beautiful parts of me that I now understand a lot more divine wise about my energy, my being, my soul of who I am. Yeah, without going into a lot of details, it was a very life-changing, transformative
What
experience.
I find beautiful is that, you know, our marriage, we used to be kind of enmeshed, and we would kind of have to do everything together, you know,
Church teaches
church stuff together. And now we, you know, we come apart, we do our own spiritual or healing practices. Like she might do Reiki energy. That's not for me. She might consult with another a woman, and I'll go to a hot yoga class.
Not for me.
Not for right, but we do come together. We've replaced Sunday church with 4-mile walks in nature while we listen to books about neuroscience or shadow work or just
educate ourselves.
Yeah, it's really been a beautiful journey to
connect. And for me, to feel like I actually am smart. I can have a conversation with a very logical person who absorbs information rather faster than I do. But I'm smart. I have a voice. I have a brain. I can say things. I have the freedom to express myself and feel comfortable expressing myself and having a voice. I would not go and have a TikTok channel, but you know, no, but it's been really refreshing to feel that confident.
Nathan, what have you tried that has worked for you, or you tried it and you're like, this is not the healing spiritual thing that I hoped it would be?
Well, surprisingly, you know, all of this stuff is super fresh and super new for me. So when I said, like, the past 2 years have been, I was just thinking today, if I could have all the time back that I have dedicated to essentially what we're doing, but my wife and I, you know, it'll start off like, you know what I was thinking, you know, this or that, or, you know, the way that the church did this and the way that the church did that, and this is the way it should have been, you know, just the time that I have dedicated. But to get to your question, it has just been, my wife and I have found a much deeper way to communicate, and just a sheer brutal honesty. Yes, that we did not have before. I mean, I was bishop. I was not a bad guy. You know, I was doing the best I could, but we still did not have the level of honesty that we have now.
Oh,
yeah.
And so I would just say I haven't had any professional, care or anything, but just talking with her has been life-changing. And then I have a sister who left the church about 6 years ago. She's really got a good handle on how to incorporate healthy things in her life. And then my wife has a sister who is in the same boat that we are. So just getting together with these people, oftentimes we'll share a drink or something, and it'll cause everyone to, loosen up a little bit. And so other than that, just talking through things, I would say it's what we're doing right now. Like, I love... I started off doing a Facebook page, and I love reading other people's input. And now that I get a chance to talk to people, so nothing professional, but things that nevertheless have really helped me. And I think my wife.
Yeah, I think the opposite of depression is expression, whether it's writing a gorgeous blog like Ruth does, or podcasts, or even just sharing your story. I'm part of a Marco Polo group for ex-Latter-day Saints. It's like an elders quorum, really, except the difference is there's no allegiance to an institution. We don't have to defend a corporation. We don't have to love conditionally like our Heavenly Father supposedly does. Thank you, President Nelson.
Yeah.
And in this, and just to accept and love these brothers as they are, we've replaced we've replaced showing our faith through dogmatic beliefs, and now we just choose radical love, and it feels so damn good. I love it. What would you add, Ruth? What do you do?
Can you hear me? Because I had to get a new mic.
Yes. Yeah.
I've done therapy. I've been with a therapist through all of this. I found a faith transition therapist who she is ex-Mormon, so I didn't have to teach my therapist Mormonism after all.
It's cheaper that way.
It's way cheaper that way. She's great. My husband is still an active member, so our conversations aren't like Nathan can deconstruct and go through things with his wife. I'm not able to do that.
Yeah.
So that's why TikTok was such a big thing for me, to find a community, and then finding it within myself to speak out, to be there for other people. And I think there's a lot of people out there who, I mean, we've probably all been there at some point in our deconstruction where we felt alone, or we didn't want anybody to know that we were having a doubt. And when they know that I am open, they can come to me, and they might only message me 3 times and say, I'm having doubts. This is my problem. We talk, and then I don't hear from them again for a while. And, you know, I hope I've helped them, but at least they had a safe place to do that. So
Awesome.
I've tried to do the work myself. You were talking earlier, the ayahuasca reminded me, like, doing the inner child work is hard work. But I think it's very healing. And then I haven't done EDMR, but I've done ART, which is similar, but a shorter. It doesn't take as long usually.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Same concept with your eyes, but so I've done all of it. Like, I've done professional, I've done stuff on my own. I've done writing, which for me, writing is really cathartic, and it helps me process the things.
Yeah, and one other thing I want to say before I forget is, you know, I've spent half my life in the little bubble of Mormonism and Mormon thinking, and now I'm starting to actually listen to women's voices. You know, Britt Hartley and Janice Sprangler from Symmetry Solutions, amazing people, and I just, you know, submitting to the feminine. Whether it's a therapist or an author or a coach, has just really blessed me. Also, looking outside of Western medicine, Western thinking, and going east, you know, Noah Rashetta's secular Buddhism taught me principles like impermanence and the nature of suffering, and that has been a game changer for me in the way my brain was wired previously. So it's... Yeah.
So you just made me remember a person that messaged me yesterday, and he said, I have just started my deconstruction from the church, and now I no longer believe it, but my parent just passed away, and I'm lost. And, you know, I just felt so much for this person. I understand what they're feeling, and they're probably doubting some of their decisions. And you know, I tried to offer my perspective as much as I could. And this person said, you know, I appreciate that. That helps me. But I just don't want to understate how difficult this whole experience can be for people.
Well, Mormonism provides you answers, right? It gives you a confined package of safety and comfort, and you don't have to face your grief, because why? Oh, you're going to see them again.
Right.
You know, me being a spiritual person and having grown up Catholic, you know, to me, the spiritual realm has a real combination of energetically feeling people. And so for me, my devastation was that my mother died so young in her sleep a year ago. And that was painful and unfair. However, the past year, I've dug into more of my spiritual concepts of the next life, because I experienced things through ayahuasca. I experienced things through Vipassana. And so I'm able to feel my mom around. There are times that she speaks Spanish. She spoke Spanish all the time. I don't. And there's been times that I'll say something in my head, blah, 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 and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's my mom. Because that's like, I would not say that. Or I need to say it to my child, or she's reminding me of something. So I still feel like she's with me. I mean, she's in my DNA. I'm part of her, that energy, right? That I'm still thinking the universe, divinity, it's all inside of us. And my mom is still part of my life in a lot of ways.
That.
She's not there physically, but she's there in that spiritual energy form. So
yeah, for me, I was so scared to leave the Latter-day Saint Church because it offered certainty.
Yeah.
And it offered a way to be in a comfort zone. And and it was rough at first, but I am telling you that uncertainty leads to humility and curiosity and getting out of your comfort zone, and that's where the growth and the fun really happens.
Yeah,
Nathan, when you asked on your poll, if people thought they were going to be with their loved ones in heaven, I think that's what your question was.
Mm-hmm.
And my question was the emoji of, I don't know.
Right.
And how often were we able to say that in Mormonism?
Yeah.
We knew everything. And I love how Francis, that you said that in Mormonism we didn't feel our grief.
No.
Like we didn't process that. Like that's huge. We really don't. We don't go through any of those.
No.
As I recall, if we chance to meet a frown, do not let it stay. Quickly turn it up.
Yeah.
Nice smile, Ruth.
Don't feel your feelings. Don't feel
Don't feel those feelings. No, just let them get stored in your body somewhere. Just pack them down.
Yes.
Literally.
So
and that's literally what was making me sick. I don't know if you know my whole story, but
I heard your story. Yeah.
Literally making me sick. Same with Nathan.
Yeah.
It has to go somewhere, right?
That's right.
That's when it comes to reading all these books too.
So Rob, I came across a video. I know it was on your Facebook page, but is it also on your TikTok where you were basically saying if you need someone to talk to, I'm a safe space?
I think it's on Facebook only.
It's both.
Oh, is it?
Okay.
It's both.
Is it this one right? Right. Is it this one?
I'm going to take a 5.
No, actually, you know, I think I'm wrong. It's only on my Instagram and my Facebook.
Yeah.
You're welcome to play it if you want.
Okay, I've got it pulled up, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right.
Yeah, it was only on Facebook and Instagram. You didn't do it on TikTok.
Okay. It should be. Let me get rid of these. Okay. Is it this?
That one. Play that. Sure.
Okay. Just play it.
If you're experiencing a faith transition, crisis, deconstruction, or faith journey, I am a safe place. I can listen without judgment or agenda. You are not alone. If you're experiencing...
Okay. So, sorry.
Thank you.
So I love that. I believe that, and I don't want to speak for you, but it feels like you are maybe you're going to continue to do the Exmo content that we all love. I'm not sure, but I feel like, and you'll speak to this, I feel like you really want to do this. Like this means a lot to you to help people through this transition. Is that kind of this space you're in right now?
I want to be a wounded healer and help others when no one was there to help me. I mean, there were people already on TikTok or, in the space, but so yeah, I'd like to come back with a whole bunch of how to build a new life videos. But I have to confess that during my 5-month hiatus from TikTok, I've had some funny ideas for old school content, and I've jotted down some scripts. I'm going to develop a character who's an old man, and he gets up to bear his testimony, and he's grateful that the Lord has blessed him to come out of a coma that he was in for the last 60 years. And as he bears his testimony of some outdated doctrine, and
Nathan and I knew where it was going right away. We both started shaking our heads.
But yeah, we're trying to, plan the second half of our life. And we had always planned to be humanitarian church service missionaries. And now that can't happen. How ridiculous is that? That you can't be a service mission if your spouse doesn't have a temple recommend because they drink coffee or something. I don't know that Jesus would be on board with that. But so we've elected that we are going to try to retire as soon as we can and move to Europe where it's a little more affordable, and then spend half the year doing humanitarian service through there's websites where you can say, hey, I want to go teach English at a school or help with orphans or whatever. So we're building our bucket list. But in the meantime, I'll keep making TikTok videos, and I am available. If anybody wants to reach out to me on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, I'd love to hear your story and just make a sacred space for you. And I'll help you in whatever direction you want to go. Yep.
Well, let me just say that you two are beautiful, beautiful human beings.
Thank you.
We've had an awesome hour and a half of hearing your story, of checking out your TikTok. And I think probably what it means maybe more to you is just offering this support and love and friendship to people that need it. I know there's so many people that go through this kind of thing alone, or they don't have their spouse, and my heart breaks for them. I was just thinking about and I'm not overstating this, for months, 2 months, my wife and I, of course, we always sleep close, but my wife and I we would have each other held like maybe dangerously close all night. We were like, I don't know anything else in this life anymore. The things that I held on to, but it's like, this is the only thing I've got,
This is real.
Yeah, this is real. And so we held each other super close for at least a couple months. It's like, this is, I don't, and I recognize that people don't have that. And so I love that you want to be there for other people. Bravo. Congratulations. I love that. And just keep that up.
Yeah. And I'm no trained professional. I'm just a guy traveling the same road, trying to find his way back home with you. So thank you for this opportunity. This has been a blast. But the best part is I think I got 2 new friends for life. I love these people. Thank you, Nathan. Thank you, Ruth.
Thank you so much for being willing to come and doing it and sharing your stories and letting me be emotional about all of it. So
That's awesome.
Sorry for making you cry, but
I know it happens.
she knows I do that a lot.
So real quick, Janine asks, how's your kids? Is that something you want to talk about at all, or is
sure, I'll talk about that. Better. And the reason that I think they're doing better is a huge weight came off my shoulders.
Yep.
I wasn't going to have an interview and have to report my stewardship is, did the son get married in the temple and did he serve a mission in this?
You don't have to save our kids.
It's like when there's no agenda, you're free to just love them.
Just love them. I
yes.
agree.
And when when you can just tell your own fail stories and become a safe place for them to be vulnerable with you, our relationship with our children is
Improved.
10 times better.
I
Yeah.
also believe that the fact that our relationship improved in the process, like what you were saying, just having that connection and wanting to cut, I feel like Rob and I actually have gotten a lot closer than ever. I mean, to a point that every day we'll tell each other, I choose you.
Yeah.
I get to choose, and I choose you.
Yeah.
You know, but the fact that we are doing healing work, we're on the spiritual journey, and we are progressively changing in ways that, my gosh, I mean, my kids could just tell you that they're shocked of how like 180 we've gone on them, and how safe they feel to tell us things. Like there's times that they'll say, I can't believe I'm telling you this, Mom, but blank,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
And to me, it's like, it's delicious. That's the only word I can think of. Like, that's exactly what I always wanted, to have
Yeah.
connection, openness, and safety, to be that space for our children, and then both of us creating that safe space for each other as well, to have that, you know, trust and ability to just be so vulnerable and authentic and open.
Yeah, the years of our children complaining that we were choosing the church over them, those years are over, and it's been better. So,
Yeah.
I love that. One of my sons, he has an interest in tattoos. And I noticed it. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So my wife got a really cute little tattoo on her forearm. It's adorable. My son got, so he and I used to do whitewater kayaking a lot, like really intense, class 4 or 5.
whoa.
And he got a picture of he and I in our kayaks on his forearm. And I just love it. And I didn't have the freedom, because the prophet said don't do it before, to just love him, love his decisions. All of my kids, I could not echo more what you've said. Each one of them, now I love the things that they love without any
Judgment.
Yes, without any reservations or box that I was put in. I can just the things that they love, and even when it comes to even some things that get into more of a political space, where before I was kind of boxed in, I felt. Now I have children who are all over the place, and I love it. And I love each one for the things that they love. So I could not say any more that I agree with you. And I agree with my stake president. I am in a better place now than I was as a true believing Mormon. That's for damn sure.
I think
I think I hear her in the echoing that.
I think that what we're all saying is, and this is, maybe I'll sum it up in this, that we've all experienced true growth through authenticity.
Yeah.
And without that authenticity, we were always trying to be better for someone else or do someone else's plan. And now through that freedom of authenticity, I have found so much more happiness in loving other people.
Yes. No judgment. Freedom to not have to judge.
And speaking of authenticity, this thank you, Nathan, for this opportunity. This is the most vulnerable I've probably ever been. Okay. And when I saw that you posted on Facebook a link to this video and you tagged me, I got nervous. Like, oh shoot, my parents, my siblings, they're gonna find this. And I guess if they're listening, if they watch this video, I just want you to know that I am where I am at, which is on the fringes or outside the church, because of my values. I value the truth. I want to follow Jesus, and following him, this is where it leads to. Yeah. And I came here out of a place of honesty and
love too.
And So anyway, love you, fam.
All right. Well, the last, I guess, requirement of this bishop's interview is is asking if you'll come back and talk to me again in the future. So
yes, Bishop, absolutely.
Follow up.
I would love to do that. I've been planning a big party when I hit the 2,000 subs, and I'm almost there.
Fun, fun.
So thanks to you two. Thanks, Ruth. Ruth kind of on the front end. She put this together, and she's
Thank
a great,
you, Ruth.
great co-host. And thanks to all the viewers. We still have 87 people on with us. Let me just ask each of you if you'll like and also subscribe to this channel. I would love that. I am going to go on with Culch in 20 minutes, actually 25 minutes at 10:05. He invited me to come on and do some stuff, so I would invite all of you there if you'd like. But thank you once again. I know it's early in the afternoon. You guys might have to go mow the yard or something. I don't know, but
let's go eat dinner.
All right. Well, I'm going to hit my theme music and tell you all have a good night. Thanks a lot, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you very much.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.